Hello, everybody. Let me see here. Okay. All right, I think I'm live. Welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 122, live. Streaming here on Facebook / YouTube / Twitch / Twitter, Periscope, wherever you happen to be looking around. And today I have 3 call-in questions already on the radio show. And I'm looking for... Oh, hey. Cool. One sec. I'm going to Snapchat this. Here I am live with Ask Weldon Show episode 122. Woo! Come check it out on Twitch. Twitch.tv/ Oh, good. I didn't show my key there. Mind Games Weldon. Okay. How are you guys doing? Somebody say something. Nobody's chatting. Oh. Now the chat's come through, but it's not coming through here. What's going on? Let me relaunch my chat window. Chat. And launch. Please work. Crossing my fingers. You called in your question yesterday. Let's go. Yep, it's coming. It's definitely coming. But I don't know why chat is not working. Oh, hey, it's working now. Hey, Shifty. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Oh, I didn't get a haircut, you guys. I just did my hair because I was filming the commercial this morning for Runtime. By the way, mindgames.gg/runtime. Filmed a commercial with them this morning. They're my favorite nutrition company for esport performance. I recommend them for my team, my athletes, for everything. It's pretty awesome. I have this for the trip home on Saturday in the airport. Healthier than airport food, cheaper than airport food, more high performance than airport food. Gorgeous design of their package. Wow, this is so much better than the beta version, actually. So much better. Anyway. Hello, Kyle. Hello, League of Legends. And why don't we dive into the first question? Let's just go right ahead. Hopefully the audio comes through on this really nicely.
Hi Weldon, I'm currently 17 years old and my goal is to go pro in League. I'm playing since 1.5 years and my question is, how can I improve in League with the right mindset without getting too much pressured from the time I have left or the missing improvement increase? By the way, I'm Platinum 2.
Okay, so 17 years old. Oh, hang on. Let me go to the recording. Okay, so 17 years old, and you're worried about not getting pressured as your time ticks down and to stay focused and productive, and you're Platinum 2. So a couple really important things to understand. First of all, you have literally 10 years in terms of like aging up to get to the peak of your performance. And then after that, you can maintain that peak for another 10 years, 37, 40, even 45, 46, 47, we're seeing like similar reaction speeds to people in their 20s if they train them extensively. And so for esport, as far as the physical commitment, you've got a good 20 or 30 years of peak performance left. Now, as far as the time commitment, that is something that's harder to make up because eventually you're going to have hobbies and a family and a job and like other stuff that you're going to need to do with your time. So you're going to get more and more like demands on your time as you go along. So that's more of a crunch for you is that um, if esport does not become like much more monetarily kind of like rewarding, or if you don't have a career that allows you lots of free time, you're not going to be able to continue pursuing and training. So what can you do in your 10-year time span? I would say, first of all, focus a lot on training quality versus training quantity, because if you go pro, you're going to be able to increase your quantity massively. And if your skill level, like let's say you get to challenger by like training way, way, way more than you're training now, and you get to challenger, great. But then when you go pro, you're just going to train the same amount and you're not going to get that much better than you are already. Whereas if you focus on your learning ability and your quality of your training, and you train like let's say 4 to 6 hours a day, then when you go pro, all of a sudden you're going to be training 10 or 12 hours a day and you're going to be super good at training, and so your skill is just going to skyrocket through the roof. So I recommend always focus on training quality, because if you can't get to a really high rank on 4 to 6 hours a day, then you need higher training quality, just to be blunt. So what does that mean? What does training quality mean? Well, first of all, you need to optimize like all of the secondary things in your life. So your nutrition, your physical activity, your mental state, things like this. You should be working on those. You should have a system for that. It doesn't need to be an intensely rigorous one. Like you should just like start to eat healthy. You should try to get physical activity in your schedule, whether it's just transportation style physical activity where you're walking around, biking, running, lifting, whatever it is. Like just be active, okay, for as much of the day as you can. Stand up after every 45-minute to 60-minute training, for 10 or 15 minutes, and just like go walk somewhere and get a drink, whatever. Move your hips and move your body. Do yoga if you can. Okay, so you square with those things. Then in the training, you need to have goals when you go into the game, and you need to be measuring them by watching your VOD. So you need to be looking at the VOD and seeing realistically what you do. You don't even need to track them on paper or anything, but you need to watch yourself play and think, okay, how did I do? You need to evaluate yourself. Evaluation is key here. Self-evaluation. You need to get really good at that. The second thing you should do is you should get a model for what you should be training, what you should be focusing on when you make your drills. And for that, you need to watch montages, one-trick ponies, really high-level players, and try to unpack the systems so that they understand the game. Watch them play, watch you play, see where you're screwing it up. Hello, Niaz, by the way, on the Periscope stream. And once you do that, you can start getting more like concrete with your tactics, such as like taking notes and tracking objective variables and things like that. But really get the basics down and focus on the quality of your training and make sure that you're progressing. And if that doesn't work, then you can start breaking things. You can start training a lot more, or start training a lot less, or using a different tracking system, or getting a coach who can look at what you're doing and say, oh, you need to push here or push there. All of these things are different ways of like shaking up your routine and getting some real insight into your weaknesses and your strengths. But start by kind of getting the fundamentals under control, and best of luck. Thanks for the question. All right, you guys, let's see if this actually uploads. How to train to go pro from 17. Done. Add to station. Cross my fingers. Yesterday, this didn't add to station at all. None of them did. There was no notification that my call-in question was submitted. Is this supposed to happen? Asked Kyle. I don't know, but I will check the app in a second and let you know if it added or not. Awesome, it published. I'm not having the same errors yesterday, so I can actually get a good show going here. 1 second. I'm going to check my station. Station. Okay, so we have right mindset to go pro, how to train to go pro. Okay, great. And then let's do a little interlude. You guys want to pick one for me? What's this one sound like? Okay, cool. Lukey the Pro says, cringe to hear my own voice, but I love you for answering my questions. This was my question. That is right. It was yours. Okay, Kyle, I have your question. It says, how to cure mass tilt and toxicity. Thank you. Robert Bishop says, hey, Weldon, could you elaborate on what your long-term plan while being at G2? I'm more referring to how you break down your goals in terms of days, weeks, months. Yes. Robert, will you submit it as a question on the Anchor app? That would be sweet. I would love to answer that. But for right now, I'm going to move on to the next question that's on the Anchor app. Because I have people who submitted their questions yesterday and are waiting. And also, I want to get back into the top 20 on this app, you guys. Like, seriously, the second day of my stream, when I was doing this live with y'all, I hit the top 20 on the app, and I was like, holy crap, this is a new app. There's not a lot of people, and just this awesome stream, and I got top 20, and that was dope. So go download Anchor app, ANCHOR. Go like my station, clap it up, listen to yesterday's episode, whatever, and then submit your questions here, and I'll answer them. You have talked about this in many of your podcasts, but I'm sure many people would still love to get advice on mental blocks, motivation, and fear of failure. What are the first steps? How to keep going when things are not working out like you'd hope them to? Shoonakins, great question. You should submit that on the Anchor app. You guys, I'm not sponsored by this app or anything. I think it's cool and I like it, and I want to use it because I actually get to hear your voice when you ask the question. So, yeah. And it's still a new app, and there's so few users that I can literally get in the top 20 just from you guys asking questions and clapping it up. So that's kind of exciting. It's like, how could I possibly ever get in the top 20 on Twitch or Twitter? Never going to happen, right? But on the Anchor app, I'm doing this talk show every day. Look at the Pro. I got to go shut the door because it's like really loud in the hallway. One sec. Weldon going to shut the door. I do not use mindfulness every day with G2, but I would like to use mindfulness. I tried a couple different ways of using mindfulness, and all of them have failed so far. So let's see what I can come up with next. Shoonakins, an app is much less internet intensive than a Twitch stream, trust me. It is an audio app, so there you go. Hello, Weldon. I am baffled by no one is playing Janna support professionally in this meta. What gives? Janna is not as useful for team fights. To be perfectly honest, she's this huge lane bully and she wins lane, and then so what? Because you lose the game. Because Braum and Alistair win the game and Janna doesn't lose the game. But she doesn't win the game. So that's all there is to it. Okay, here we go.
Weldon, this is Sam. First, thanks for answering my last question I called in for. I got another question for you. A lot of times I find myself shot calling on when I play with my friends, and what ends up happening is a big team fight will happen, and there's key abilities to look for, flashes, and all those kind of things. And sometimes I just blank out because there's just so much to keep track of, and then I find myself just kind of running into the middle of the team fight. Now, I understand that some people are just better when it comes to being able to absorb all this visual information. So I'm wondering, is there a way to train that to get better? And is there a limitation to what someone can do personally? Is it a talent? Is it a biological thing? Or, like I said, can it be trained? Thanks.
Okay. Adding it to the station. Great. Now let's go for the answer. Okay, so Sam, your question is basically about visual processing and how it works in the brain. What are the limitations and those types of things? So first of all, visual processing has a lot to do with pattern recognition and short-term memory. So you can hold a certain number of factoids and pieces of information in your short-term memory, and you can process patterns that you see at a certain amount of speed and with a certain number of variables in them. Now, the way that humans improve their ability, so by the way, short-term memory, if you're just thinking of like memorizing numbers, you can hold, let's say, between 8 to 10 in the normal genetic spectrum, and then if you go above that, we're talking like genetic freaks. You get up to 12. Whoa. 12 numbers you can hold in your short-term memory. So we're not talking about a massive deviation here when you're talking about people who, for example, memorize, 500 numbers in a row, random numbers in a row, and they can recite them. They're not using their memory to do this, their short-term memory. They're using patterns, and they're using trained skills. So the way that you train pattern recognition for visual training in League of Legends is you have to attach meaning to patterns in the game that you then automate your understanding and reaction to in terms of muscle reflex. So what you want to start with is you want to pre-program your mind going into a team fight. The best way to do this is to plan it. The easiest way to do it is to be raised by parents who let you play lots of video games and who parent you well, and you have a really good environment and you learn how to do this naturally and you don't even have to try. But let's just say that you didn't play a lot of video games and you didn't get in the zone a lot, and I don't know, you weren't parented perfectly, and so your visual processing of League of Legends just isn't the greatest, or of MOBAs in general. So what you need to do is you need to pre-plan going to the team fight what you're going to look for. So you say, okay, I am Janna, and I'm going to interrupt this Katarina ult, or I'm going to interrupt this Talon ult, or I'm going to exhaust this exact spell at this exact second, okay? And then you're single-mindedly focused on this spell and that timing the entire team fight and your immediate reaction to it, and the stress of navigating like all the other variables related to the team fight while still waiting for this one thing. So essentially you're saying, I'm going to do everything that I can, that's equal to I, then I'm going to try to train this extra thing, which is +1. And you prime your brain for it, and you visualize yourself doing it. Then you go do it, and then you review doing it, and you try to remember what it felt like, and you try to fix what went wrong. So if you mess up, you're like, okay, I should have flashed and hit D really fast in order to get the exhaust, and I didn't get it fast enough, so let me visualize what that feels like and where I'm clicking. And this way you get like a full 3 trainings for every one. So you have the like visualization beforehand and the preparation, then you have the actual event, and then you have the review of the event and the stress of that review and the failure or success of it, the excitement of the success for it. And the anticipation you have for the success actually wires the learning stronger. And the anticipation you have for the failure and the regret you have for the failure for all of the effort that you put in also helps rewire that more quickly, and especially if you review it. So this is how you start to essentially, you're not growing new neurons. What you're growing is connections to neurons. You're growing the little dendrites that go out and like the axons that connect to the next neural body. And that is essentially how you grow new patterns in your mind in terms of like visual training so that you can have a reflex to it. And this is sport. This is the skill of sport. This is what you do when you need to kick a better soccer ball shot or a football shot. This is what you do when you need to hit a tennis ball more accurately. This is what you do when you need to play a League of Legends team fight more accurately. You're basically taking visual stimuli and trying to attach it to a motor reflex that is very accurate and automatic. And this is literally the fundamental skill of pretty much any sport, which is why Hearthstone, for example, although it's an esport, is not the same class of esport as, say, League of Legends and CSGO, because it doesn't have this element that CSGO and League of Legends share in common with football and soccer and European football and basketball and all these other like traditional sports. So thanks for your question, and talk to you later. Okay, what should I call this segment? How to train your team fighting in MOBAs. And delete the extra R that I put in team fighting, and done, and add to station. Question. I thought about going to the first time to Berlin to watch 2 to 3 days of the EULCS in the studio. Are you in the studio there too, so I can take a photo with you after? Lukey the Pro. I am in the studio usually about every other week, so not guaranteed. So double check before you go. I usually buy my tickets a couple weeks in advance. My upload failed. Lame. What about a non-MOBA? Yes, Real Mute, it's the same thing, but I used the phrase how to teamfight in a MOBA in order to attract more listeners instead of saying how to teamfight in your esport. If I say how to teamfight in your MOBA, I might get more people to click on the thing. It's just like a little marketing tip. Okay, next question. All right. Makan says, you're insane, Weldon, the grind is real. Oh boy, is it ever. Yeah, Bishop, thank you for the suggestion, by the way. I'm just going to get them to sit down and do mindfulness. All right. Let's do the next question.
Just calling in to get some advice on 5v5 team play versus solo queue. I play for a few different leagues on some 5v5 teams, and we're all about low diamond, and in solo queue I'm the same, sitting at low diamond. But a lot of times I get a lot of compliments, and a lot of people asking me that how am I low diamond when I play at such a better rate in 5v5s, but I just can't seem to transition my 5v5 playstyle into solo queue. I seem to have more trouble carrying games and being a lot more consistent in solo queue than I am in my 5s team. And I know that there's a lot of communication and things that you have to kind of recognize when it comes to 5v5s, but how would you start with transitioning my 5v5 play into to try and climb some?
This is a good question. All right. All right, this is a really good question. Thank you for calling in and asking. Basically, what you're saying is I perform better in 5v5s. I'm a higher rank and I'm more consistent. And then when I go into solo queue, I want to figure out how to transition that skill level. This is actually quite similar to how LCS pros play better on stage than they do in training. And the same principles, and I say that because the same principles apply mentally, where when you are playing with a 5v5 team, you have more connectedness to the people and the situation. So your brain is more aware that this is like more important. It's really hard to fool the brain. You can't fake the brain and say like, oh, this like this solo queue match is like just as important for my social relationships with everybody I care about than this 5v5 game. Like your brain's like, yeah, right, as if. So essentially, rather than trying to fake your brain into trying to think that the solo queue game is as important or as stressful or as like high maintenance and adrenaline pumping as a 5v5 game, what you need to do is figure out how to essentially maintain the same level of focus with a lower level of like basal excitement or a lower level of like adrenaline and intensity in your body. Okay, so the things you're missing: adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, psychological connectedness with your teammates, desire for victory at all costs because it's like you're impacting your teammates, scores as well. So all of these things, you don't want to try to fake it, and you don't want to try to pretend it's not happening. It's actually happening. But what you do need to do is use your performance in the solo queue game as a metric for how well you are able to start to learn this training-centered focus. And the way that you train this focus is threefold. First of all, awareness. You need to be aware of your lower level of intensity and focus in those situations. And for that, you need to catch your mind wandering. So pay attention when you're in the 5v5 game at just how laser sharp you feel and how your focus is able to avoid and ignore variables that would otherwise trigger you or distract you or cause you to meander, or that you would do escapism for, such as, okay, I really want to get this kill, and in solo queue, you go in for it because you want the satisfaction of stomping a noob, but in the 5v5 game, you're focused on the victory at all costs, and so you don't, right? So notice those things. Number 2, accept them. Understand that this is natural, biological, and there's nothing that you can really do about it in terms of trying to control your biology. Or I don't recommend that you try because you're going to fail. And then the third part is commitment. So I want you to analyze the behavior that you have in the ranked games. And I want you to notice when it's different. And I don't want you to start with your mind. I want to start with your fingers, okay? I went in with this team fight, or I went for this risky ward that I would not have gone for in the 5v5 game, okay? Don't start with the, why did I do that? Start with the, okay, I will simply not do it. I will simply choose to not do it, even though I kind of care less about this game. So you want to start with controlling your behavior, and you have to commit yourself to that in terms of a mental route. You have to say that this is important to you in the long-term, goal-oriented, values-oriented decisions that you're making that has nothing to do with your current emotional state, because you're not really seriously tied up in the solo queue game. So once you're able to start identifying behaviors that are different, then you focus on those behavior points in the solo queue game, and you exercise, first of all, awareness that you're less intense about this and that this is about to happen, acceptance that you don't care about it as much, and so it's going to take a monumental amount of discipline to actually do the correct behavior instead of the incorrect behavior. It's going to take more effort than it does take in the kind of official match. And then you discipline, or you control your behavior, not your thinking, not your thoughts, not your emotions, but your actual finger presses to do the thing that you feel like you know is correct, because you're mimicking your 5v5 play and avoiding what is your solo queue play. And this might take a little bit of study. You might have to come up with a system. You might have to get a coach to see patterns. You might have to watch a lot of VODs of yourself in both situations and see where you're taking more risks or less risks, or where you're not taking enough risk, to make the big play or whatnot. And those are my recommendations. So I would start there with that system. Thanks a lot for the question, and best of luck. All right. How to transfer 5v5 skill to solo queue. Add to station. All right, let's see if it populates. What do you think of that answer, you guys? Woo! That was intense. James Hatswell asks, how do you stop yourself plateauing when you reach a goal? Say, for instance, you practice like a diamond, and when you reach it, you stop. Is the answer just to make more goals or make higher goals? James, this is a fantastic question, and you should submit it to my Anchor app account, where you can do a call-in, and then I can play the audio for everybody and answer the question. Because I have a very selfish desire to hit, top 20 on the Anchor app. And when you guys run in and do cool stuff, what do you think of this one? Nope, no. All right. 100 answer, he says. Definitely. What about the non-MOBA? Okay. Here we go. That was a great question from Dylan. Next one is from Kyle. You guys ready for this?
Hey Weldon, I was just wondering about how to cure mass tilt. For example, I was in my gold promos less than a week ago, and now I am in silver 3. I know I'm not high elo, but I'm also quite a toxic player, and I was wondering how to overcome toxicity and how to cure mass tilt. I know that's 2 questions in one, but source.
All right. This is a super great question, Kyle. Let me add this to the station. All right. This is a super great question, Kyle. And I think that depending on your definition of tilt, this could be a single question, how to cure my toxicity, which is also resulting in my tilting. So let's first dive into the why, because I hate to say like, let me stop saying like. I hate to say don't be toxic because you're going to be a better player. Let's talk about why it is that you should be motivated to not be toxic, because it will improve your ranking. Because otherwise there's no reason to not tell people how it is that you feel, in my opinion. So it functions like this. Tilt is the word that we use to represent the idea of choking. Choking is basically when your mind, which is supposed to be 100% focused on performance, behaviors, and stimuli only, is split between those plus a desire, plus a bunch of other stuff. So you're thinking about your teammates, or you're thinking about what you're saying to your teammates, or you're thinking about what your teammates are saying, or you're thinking about how frustrated you are, you're experiencing raging emotion, or you're thinking about the past where you made a mistake, or you're thinking about the past where your teammate made a mistake, or you're thinking about the beautiful future that does not exist because your teammate just inted it, or you're thinking about the beautiful future that does not exist because you just got ganked and now the lane that you were winning is now losing because your lane opponent has a two kill advantage on you, and you're going to go back to lane and it's going to be horrible, but it was really awesome and it was going to be this cool thing. So your mind is split between focusing on actual performance behaviors that are relevant to succeeding in the moment and virtual reality. The past, the future, emotional content and emotional communication between other people and words and these kinds of things that have nothing to do with actual performance behaviors. So this is the result of performance decrease. That means that you should desire essentially to focus wholly on the present and deal with all the other stuff later or differently or in some other way, or to suppress it or to overcome it or to let it flow through you or whatever you want to do to cope with it. Many different pro athletes take many different approaches of coping with it, and I can't admonish any of them who have hit the world-class level with things like suppression or ignoring or raging, on their own and then dealing with it that way. But in reality, in my opinion, the best way to scientifically deal with it, if you're starting from zero, is to accept it, to let it flow through you. Okay, so that's the best way. But the other ones have been done by pro athletes. Maybe it's not the most longevitous career if you're suppressing all of your rage or if you're taking it out on people around you or whatever. But Steve Jobs took all his rage out on people around him and he did great things, although he was never a pro athlete. So there was that. Business is totally fundamentally different from being a world-class performer in a sport or a physical aspect of humanity where you have to undergo pain and disciplined training to get there. But if we get back to then the toxicity part, so now you have a motivation for how to overcome it and why to overcome it. So what are the steps to overcoming toxicity? Well, first of all, focus always on the controllables and find out and really start to self-talk and orient yourself towards the long game. You really got to get a handle on your self-talk if you want to conquer toxicity, because the reason that you are toxic is because the expectations and the desires that you have with this game that you're playing are not matching reality. There's a discord between the schema or the picture you have painted in your head of what you want to experience and feel is not matching up with what's actually happening. And this dissonance between reality and desire is the root of all suffering and evil that you are essentially taking out then on other people, because you want other people to feel your pain and to understand that frustration with you so that you feel satiated in that kind of escapism. So the first thing you have to do is be squared away with the fact that there is reality and there is your wishes, and you cannot always get your wishes, and these are the controllable factors that you have. And if you can't handle that, which you can handle it, by the way, so don't worry, but if you can't handle that, you tell yourself, well, I could be playing another game, or I could be doing anything else. So you want to reorient yourself to the long game, to thinking really super long term. What is it that I want out of this experience? And if I don't get there in this game, can I get there eventually? Can I exercise patience in the application of that desire? Okay, so I'm going to continue answering this question, but I need to submit this one because I hit 5 minutes in the app. Conquering toxicity and tilt. Part 1. I hope I spelled conquering right. Let me submit this and then continue. You guys should all open up. I'm actually going to type this in chat if I can. Anchor.fm/Weldon Green/this whatever one, and clap it up, because this is literally like the best answer I feel like I've given in ever. It's so awesome. Okay, I'm going to continue. Where was I? Okay, so continuing on with part 2 of answering this question about conquering toxicity and tilt. So this mastering of your own desires over expectations and reality, this takes a lot of introspection, like a lot of journaling and a lot of self-awareness of what it is that you truly want and whether or not you're getting it out of this game. Are you using this game to escape from other things, or are you using it as an expression of pursuit of mastery? If you're using it to escape from other things, then the thing you're frustrated about is the fact that you're not getting your escapism. So you need to like make that right with you and take escapism in the things that you can control about the game and reorient your expectations about only things that you can accomplish, or else you will always be frustrated. And so if you can really do that, you can achieve this kind of escapism out of the game. If you're using the game to pursue mastery, then it's a really easy fix, because you can simply say, well, what can I do to manifest agency in my situation? How can I get agency again? Meaning that you have control over what you are accomplishing or what you are trying to do. And for that, you simply look at like what your button presses can get you in the game, and what kind of button presses lead to improved skills. So you think, okay, well, we've lost all of our turrets and Baron, so I'm going to practice making sure that this bush is swept and the vision is denied, and then flanking them and killing one person, or just diving the back line, or just interrupting this one spell that I know that I want to practice how to interrupt, because I know what'll help me in the next game that I need to interrupt it, or canceling this one thing with Wind Wall, because I'm assuming you're a Yasuo player, and that will be really, really good. So controlling the controllables is kind of the way out in terms of both escapism and mastery pursuit. And then as far as communication of toxicity, well, that is something that you can really work on in focusing on compassion and understanding other people's viewpoints. It's really hard mental exercise and a really good mental exercise to try to understand every single person's viewpoint when they go into the game. So people who are making mistakes, you can be like, okay, well, they're having a bad game. People who are intentionally trying to hurt people and troll people, you can say, well, they might be having a bad life. No matter how bad your life is, somebody's having a worse life. Understand that there is literally a person on Earth who has it worst, right? There's billions of us, right? And there is literally somebody who has it the worst of anybody on Earth. If we go hierarchically, okay? So no matter how lame our lives are, we're still alive, and there's still somebody who has it worse than us. And so you can try to put yourself in the mindset of compassion and understand that maybe somebody's hurting so much that this is them lashing out, and they literally have no other way to express their pain, right? So then all of a sudden you can engage this kind of empathy wherein your frustration towards them turns into pity and sympathy and empathy towards them instead. And all of a sudden you're trying to help them and help them grow instead of like raging at them, right? And so your communication shifts. And the other thing I would recommend is to use gratefulness conditioning. So that is to list 3 things you are grateful for every single day. Get really good at this. Every single morning, wake up, list 3 things you're grateful for, because what this allows you to do is gives you a tool to essentially reset your brain, your mind. It's really hard to experience 2 emotional states, affective states, we call them, at the same time, because that's not how our brain is so wired up. So when you're experiencing radiating gratitude, it's difficult to also be pissed at the world. And so what you can do is condition yourself to experience and appreciate gratitude more often by listing things that you are grateful for every morning that are very local. Not like, oh, wonderful world peace or whatever, but I'm really grateful that, 7 minutes ago I went to cook eggs and there were eggs in the kitchen. That's awesome. Like my mom bought eggs, or my wife bought eggs, or I bought eggs yesterday and now I had eggs in the kitchen. I am so grateful that I didn't have to not have eggs or not eat, or go hungry. And once you're kind of using gratefulness to reset, you get into a toxic mindset and you just kind of, bam, you say, okay, what am I grateful for? And you're like, I'm grateful that I even get to play League of Legends, that I'm not digging a ditch right now in some African slave hut, right? So it really can reorient your mindset towards an ability to be compassionate towards your teammates. Conquering toxicity and tilt part 2. Add to station. I'm gonna end with part 3. I'm gonna recap. Say, whoo. Hackstar Hunter says, guys, let's keep spreading Weldon to people he deserves far, far more. I don't deserve anything, but yes, keep spreading me and sharing my stream, and mostly getting me back to top 20 on the station, because that was the coolest thing I experienced recently. And if you all go clap it up on my station, just go woo woo and find the current question that I'm doing and just be like, whoa, this is the best freaking thing ever, and applause it a million times, then I might hit top 20. Okay. So I really hope that that's helpful and that's a good answer to your question. I think that this is a really kind of a lifelong pursuit and a complex pursuit, but if you can use League of Legends or an esport to train these skills, even if you don't master it, even if you don't even come close to mastering it, even if you just get 1 inch farther, the fact that you used your video game and your pursuit of performance in that video game to kind of improve these skills that transfer to every single area of your life is incredibly valuable. And it means that whatever you're doing in the game is literally not a waste of time. It is literally one of the best things that you can be doing with your time. And that is kind of one of my passions about esport, is the idea that because it's a performance environment, we can use it to train transferable skills. And so essentially your attempt to master this part of yourself, you can think of it as like a Buddhist religious kind of like pursuit almost. And you can see your evil teammates as training vehicles for your ability to be Zen. And I don't mean Zen as in you don't experience the emotion, because you definitely do. We're all human. I mean Zen as in your reaction to and acceptance and commitment to higher ideals once you do experience the emotion. So please see it that way, and please understand that all of your effort is worth it. Even if you start sweating because of your desire to suppress your typing of rage into the chat, even if you like just are panicked for like 30 seconds as you're trying to just grip your chair and not do it, that is an incredibly powerful moment for your mind in terms of the formation of neurons and an outlook on life that is valuable down the road for parenting and friendships and relationships and public speaking and test taking and almost everything else that you're going to experience. So good luck. Whew. Conquering toxicity and tilt part 3 end. Add to station. Okay, what kind of music should I put after this? Something like super, super relaxing and amazing. Nope. I like that one. Nope. Nope. Whatever. I'm just going to do the cello. It's like my favorite. All right. I hope it wasn't out of Skinner playbook. I hate Skinner. I want to stab him in the butt. My gosh. The fact that you attribute me, I want to go back and audit myself and like delete my podcast and my station and make sure that whatever I said that had anything to do with Skinner that is excised from my brain with a scalpel. Copy. Literally. Okay, I'm going to tweet about this right now. You guys can literally the most epic answer of all time. Conquering toxicity and tilt. Learn something today and clap this up. Paste. Okay. And then how do I post in Twitch chat here? Maybe I can literally go to my chat. How do I go to my channel's chat? Okay. Oh, yep. I'm here. All right. Message Mind Games Weldon's chat. Paste a link. There's the link. Okay, you guys. That is the link to this question. So share that around. Get it up there. See you, Haxer. Thanks for stopping by. And I appreciate it. Wrote this on Facebook, but I think you're not checking that chat. How about cases like Golden Glue mind-blowing in scrims by his teammates and opponents' accounts and lackluster performance on stage? What do you make of that? Have you ever worked with him? I have worked with him. I have mentored him. I've advised him. He's just got to bring it. He's got to bring it over and over again. And he really is. He's improving. Now he just needs a team, right? This is his first or second full split where he's actually getting tons of on-stage experience, and now he needs teammates who are going to mentor him, and he needs to learn the game at a strategic depth. And yeah, he's on his path. Now he needs everybody to. When next time you watch Golden Glow, I want you to reset your perception of him and be like, okay, I'm watching a brand new player with no history. What does it look like? And do it again and again and again, and you'll see the kind of constant progression. Problem is he's got all this history, so every single time he makes a good play, it's whatever. Every single time he makes a mistake, it's oh my god, it's Golden Glue. So that's a tough thing to shake. But personally, he's shaking that. It's just the community mostly that's memeing about it now. I'm tilting because of my individual mistakes, not because of my teammates' mistakes. What do I do? Same thing, Aiken. It's pressure. It was €30. Wow. Man, some really good comments. Oh my gosh, stop scrolling down, chat. I'm trying to scroll up and read. Okay, it's really hard for me to scroll up because chat is keep going. I do private talks on Skype, but not right now because I'm too busy, mostly in the off season, and they also cost money. Sorry. I will take other anchor questions, but right now I need to run back to the gaming house for scrims. What do I think of Locodoc as a coach? He's amazing, and I love him. I think he's awesome. I like him as a person. I like him as a coach. I like him as a player. I like him as an influencer. I like him as a friend. And I'm biased as heck because I just think he's worthy of a lot of respect because he's genuinely a nice person. And he tries to be very kind to people, and he's compassionate and empathetic. Curry Chicken says, hi, I'm taking the Mac program. After some sessions, you say to fill out the form below. Sometimes there's a form, other times there's nothing. Is this a bug? It is a bug in my brain because essentially the old Mac website crashed and I lost all of the whole program and I had to remake it from scratch. And I mostly remade the things that are the most important and everything else I left out. And I'm still literally going through and trying to watch all 49 hours of video or whatever and to put in the missing questions. Or the missing forms, but the most important part of the Mac program is literally the mindfulness training. That is it. The mindfulness training. That is the most important part of it. So that's the kind of essential and elemental part. And after that, the handouts are more or less can be replaced with just like journals that you make up. So they're not even that essential. But I would say that you should use the support button to report on that page when you encounter one, because I'm keeping a little index of things I'm working on as I'm going through. And thank you so much for buying the program. And also what I'm doing right now, actually, instead of like putting a lot of time into editing up the program online, is I'm actually working on the app version, the web app version, which is going to include not like outside sheets like Google Forms or whatever, but actually internal to the web app itself, sheets that you can fill out and save there. So that's my goal with that, Curry. And thank you so much for taking the Mac program. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, it's my training program that I made. It's an online training program. You can find it at mindgames.gg/MAC, and it is literally the best, obviously. So if you want to be trained by me and you want to figure out how to conquer toxicity and tilt, go check out mindgames.gg/MAC. Use the code AskWeldon for $5 off. AskWeldon, AskWeldon for $5 off, because you're watching this stream, so you get the code. But don't tell anybody else. They have to be watching the stream. Torimemmi ilma veivi kekkonen viina makkara isänmaa. What the heck are you saying, Yanni? Okay, I don't really like memmi. I love makkara. I would say it's a tremendous and beautiful program. It is just phenomenal. Like just absolutely tremendous and really beautiful. And basically what I did with all of my pro teams, I did this with CLG, I did this with TSM, we're doing it with G2. So if you want access to the exact same protocol that I start and finish, and that covers the fundamentals of what I do with pretty much every pro team I work with, it is literally all online in videos for $25. And then you can be like Pasha Biceps. I don't know why doing my Mac program makes you like Pasha Biceps, but I was just saying that. I'm tilting because of my own individual mistakes, not because of my team mistakes. What do I do? Aiken, same thing that I did to answer the tilting question there. You need to get your focus off of your past and future. You're tilting because you're focusing on the past, and you're tilting because you're focusing on the implications of what your actions are doing to your teammates, so what they think of you, the judgment. Okay, so you have to experience that and emotionally experience it, and then focus on the present and the execution and the near present and the execution of your skills. And that's it. What's your impression of the program at the Sports Academy with pros and aspiring players? Bids are around 3K. Don't do it. Sent a call in yesterday. I guess it didn't go through. Daniel, I'm sorry. I guess it didn't. I'll check right now. I might have one more question, but I'm pretty sure I did all the ones from yesterday. So this is only going to be new ones. Call-ins right now. I have one from Mute, James Hatswell, Fatanlol, and Alexander Bender, which I'm going to do tomorrow on the show. I got to run right now, as I said. Although I super duper appreciate these amazing questions. This is so dope. Just checking right now. Let's see if I go home and stats. Did we do it? The sports rundown is number 4. Oh, I'm in the top 100, but I'm not in the top 20. Bummer. Well, there's always tomorrow. Or maybe my tweet will activate a ton of people and we'll kick ass. I'd like to have some coaching sessions when the off season starts. What is your price? By the way, I'm a poker player. I usually charge $150 an hour. So, not sure if that's worth it or not. But I could go with 80. That clear cut. Really, I'm not considering it for myself, but it seemed a bit steep. But actual pros are going to be involved. I think that if it's a pro that was able to teach, that would be cool. But I don't think pros are really able to teach. So mostly you're just paying to hang out with pros. You're not going to get that much better at the game. Because to teach high-level skills, you need to be able to ladder up and scaffold learning. You need to know what changes behavior. So pros have information. Maybe they have information. Some pros don't even know what they're doing that's good. But let's say they're a pro that has done a lot of reflection. Then they know what they're doing is good. Okay, great. Then they have to understand behavior change. Okay, but that's teaching and organizing like learning and understanding like how to create drills and things like that. So those have nothing to do with like pro life, and they all suck at that mostly because there's very few even coaches that are good at that. I mean, I've been doing that professionally for 13 years, and I'm still an amateur at behavioral change and learning in terms of esport skills. So I would say like if you want to hang out with pros, do it. If you want to get high rank, focus on reading books from sages of learning that you can be inspired by. Do you recognize personal differences between the players that also maintain different roles in the game, like AD carries, etc.? Nope, not at all. Not at all. Different characteristics and personal differences between players that maintain different roles on the team, such as leaders, shot callers, team players and stuff like that, but not between different roles. No. Aside from the fact that you must have ambition to play a carry at a world-class level, top 10. You can play a carry professionally and not have ambition. But if you want to play a carry like at the faker level, like Luca, like Bjergsen, like Perks, like Bjergsen, like Double Lift, like Sven, you need to have insane blind ambition and literally believe that you're the greatest. And if you don't, you're never, ever, ever going to approach their level. Do you think isolated practice, reliable knowledge? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I keep answering questions because you guys are awesome and you're asking some awesome questions, but I really have to run because I need to get to scrims and I'm going to miss them. Ugh. Okay. I'll talk to you later. You guys rock. Go on Twitter and share that the freaking answer I gave about toxicity and tilt. Literally, that is probably, you witnessed live, probably the most epic rant I have ever given. So you need to go be like, I was there for this. I saw this generate from his brain. Make G2 great again. Will do. Ciao.